Hey, I'm Mike Roberts. I chair the County Cemetery Advisory Committee, and I'm on the organizing committee for buried history. Why are cemeteries important? Well, there's a bunch of reasons. People that have family members buried here obviously think it's important, uh, but there's other things. For one thing, kids, like that kid right over there. He's having a gas. The kids love cemeteries. Uh, Dogs love cemeteries. And if kids and dogs love it, how bad could it really be? But visitors from outside the area also love cemeteries. And we all know about how important historical tourism is to communities like Placerville. Everybody's on Ancestry.com and find a grave. Uh, so people come up here just to do this. But there's another audience that is also really important, and they are the recent arrivals. These are people, we're facing a demographic shift in this area. There's a lot of people coming here from the overcrowded coastal cities, and those people come here because of the nature. Those people come here because of the history. They want to learn more about it. They want to engage more about it, and they show up on cleanup days. God bless them. There are people. They're good, and they want to help, and they want to engage, and cemeteries are a great place to do that. But those are all good reasons. The cemeteries are important, but I got another reason that's maybe overshadows all of them, and that is that old cemeteries strengthen our community and improve the quality of life. Yeah, I know you're saying that's a big step for a cemetery, right? But let me backfill. Let me explain it. Humans are wired to retain and connect stories. That's what we had before language, before paper, before ballpoint pens. We just had stories. We remember them, they connect, they affect us. This cemetery is full of stories. The problem is, it doesn't give them up easily. You look at an old headstone, you see this is when she was born, this is when she died, she's got this fancy marker. You're just asking questions. How did she die? She was so young. Oh my God, she was only 6 right there. Oh, what happened? Without those stories, this place, it's just a relic. It doesn't mean anything. It's got some pretty statuary, and it's got some real uneven terrain, and I don't understand it, and I don't care that much. But with the stories, it becomes relevant, and it affects us. It becomes powerful. We connect to the people buried here. They in turn connect to places that we know. Now, the theme for this year, Save the Graves, is Main Street Merchants. So every one of these characters is going to be talking about doing business in some place that's still standing down there. So, and some of them still have the name Tracy. We're doing Henry Numbers Tracy. His name is still on the building, and he's a fascinating character, absolutely fascinating. So we start to build these connections to place, to time, to era, to each other. Fabric of community. I contend that translates directly to the quality of the community and the quality of life in it. We become more tolerant. We become more compassionate, less divisive. We become better people. We're a better place. Now, you don't have to have a cemetery to do all that connecting and being better, but there's so much raw material here. It's the perfect place. And there's a lot of us that they have a little power over us. I like to be here. I feel good when I'm here. There's an energy here. Not everybody gets it, but I do. So the cemetery is just full of raw material for those connections. But it's a lot harder when the place is so damaged and depressing that you don't even want to be there. So that's what we're about. This is a county cemetery now. It wasn't always. I'll spare you the history, but it became a county cemetery when nobody else would take it because it's expensive to maintain and it's almost full. There's not a lot of cash flow. It's just out, and it's all out of the county general fund. So that's what buried history does. We fix things. So last year during the pandemic, we came away from this event with a little bit of money, a few $1,000s, and we decided to fix some headstones. Well, the problem is that fixing a headstone right costs between $1,500 and $2,000. Well, that's like the money we had. We had like 5 total. So what we did was strike a compromise. I wanted to fix a lot more than 2 or 3 headstones, so we fixed 15. These are things that were lying on the ground for decades, in pieces, completely threatened. You could pick the pieces up and put them in your car and put them in your backyard as stepping stones if you want. Too many people did over the years. But instead, we had a maker, a guy named Brett, custom make steel brackets. And we stood them up, and they're glued together with little dabs because this old stone is like a sponge. It breathes air, it breathes water. You can't just smear stuff on and smoosh the thing on it. It's not that simple. Our goal is to restore some dignity to this once glorious, not glamorous, but glorious Victorian garden cemetery. The only one in El Dorado County. Here you can see Eva. See that veining? That tells you that it's Indian Diggins marble. Indian Diggins is the first marble mine in the state of California, and it's in El Dorado County. There's only a handful of these. A lot of times the veining ended up being weakness in the stone, so a lot of these haven't held up so well. But hers did pretty good, except it's been laying on the ground for 40 or 50 years. See, that side was down. This side was, I don't even know where he found this piece. I cleaned the rest of it, but this piece he found someplace, and I haven't gotten back here and gotten that one done yet. And Emma up here, 6 years old. My God, it's got one of these great symbols on it. The finger pointing to crown. I'm sure, off the top of my head, I'm not going to remember what that means, but it's heaven. It's good. So this is a little girl. Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that nice to get that up off the ground? And there was all these bases. This tree grew up here. It was a big mess. And when the guys went to set it, they actually dug around here and found the original base. How cool is that? So anyway, there's a bunch of them here. Some of them are just big blocky ones that have just been heavy and they laid on the ground for too long. And, you know, we just had them bring in the portable crane thing to lift it back up and stand it in place. Take a look at the couple more. These, I don't know, we don't have all the pieces for these. I don't know if we're ever going to get those done, but the veining is actually held up, but the sapwood, if you will, has weathered significantly. So it's a really weird look, especially in certain lights. You can sort of get a feel in this light along the top. You can see the ridging that happened, but it's really, it ended up being a beautiful effect. And also, there's a bunch of rules, but the other really important rule that the brackets work well with is that don't do anything you can't undo, because you've got to assume that better technologies will come along in the future. So in closing, I just want to say that especially these old marble tombstones, you know, they're not going to live forever. The granite ones will be here till the apocalypse. Granite is way, way harder than marble. But these beautiful old hand-carved marble tombstones from the Gold Rush era are special things. They're important. You know, we're going to get maybe a couple hundred years out of them now with them standing up. Maybe 300. Without it, it would be half that. We've already lost so many. So that's all I got. Thanks a lot.
17 cemeteries. This is the summary. 17 cemeteries that the county maintains. This partnership's very important. We do not have special districts to fund all these. So we're always looking for creative partnerships, and this is one of them. So we thank you for all your support. I know Mike is, you know, hat in hand, thrilled to have each of you there. There it is. Hat off the head, back on the head. Thank you, Mike. So I'll go ahead and pause there. I know we have a lot of exciting stuff to talk about when it comes to tourism and cemeteries. So stay tuned for that. So I think it's going to be a really neat addition to some of the offerings that El Dorado County already has on the visitor side of things. So with your help, we'll continue to make the cemeteries great in this county, and we'll keep pushing forward. Thank you.
First of all, I'm going to start out with a conversation that I had with a good friend not too long ago. and we were talking about this occasion. And she said, my husband's family, well, she said, we have a lot of our ancestors are buried up there. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And this is from, I recognize the name. They've been around the county for many, many, many years. And so we kept talking, and she said, I don't know, I asked her some questions. She said, I don't go up there anymore. And I said, why not? And she said, because that cemetery is so in disarray and doesn't seem well maintained to me. And she said, it's just depressing to go there. And that made me feel so bad. And which brings me to alluding to a lot of the things that Mike said. That's why we're here. This is why we're trying to remedy that. A small but mighty group of us are trying to restore this cemetery with all its history to place with its original beauty. We want to create programs that will encourage families and friends to visit the grounds, participate with upkeep of their families' burial sites, or just stroll the grounds and enjoy the beauty and relish the memories they evoke. I know that we have many cemeteries throughout our county and several here in Placerville city limits, but they all require the same thing, upkeep. However, this particular one, involving over 4 acres, sits right in the middle of Placerville. It is a gem. Its importance right up there with Goldbug Park, as far as I'm concerned. There's a long history of its establishment, the various parties responsible for its operation, and in some cases, the parties responsible for its disrepair. I won't go into it except to say this began in 1871. Times have changed. As you've heard, the city of Placerville and the county originally took possession in 2006. And needless to say, they saved it from falling into the hands of the state that would probably have meant the end of this historic beauty. You've also heard that the county has many cemeteries it is expected to maintain with a very slim budget. And unfortunately, the city doesn't have the funds either. I personally think we need to establish cemetery districts, but that's a conversation for another day. In the meantime, this small group needs your assistance financially and otherwise. Please don't hesitate to come forward with suggestions you may have to help us accomplish our goal of saving this gem. I'll close with something I read today, which I think is timely. No one wants to leave the party before the party is over, but that's exactly what has to happen. People left before you got there, and people will be there after you leave. Thank you.